Antony was a great Roman leader. He was a general for Julius Caesar and one of his closest friends. He thought that Cleopatra was partially responsible for Caesar's death and wanted to meet with her. Mark Antony and Cleopatra created a military partnership in 41 BC. Cleopatra captured Mark Antony's heart just as she had Julius Caesar's. He followed her to Alexandria and took her as his mistress. Cleopatra married Mark Antony in 37 BC. Their marriage was not only for love, it was also a marriage of politics. Cleopatra was wealthy, and Mark Antony had power to protect her from an invasion by Rome. While Antony was in Egypt with Cleopatra, his enemies began to invade Roman provinces. In Rome, Fulvia, Antony's wife, hoped to get Antony to leave Cleopatra by attacking in his name against Octavius, his ally. Antony returned to Fulvia, but she soon died. He entered into a new alliance with Octavius by marrying Octavius' sister, Octavia. Cleopatra heard about his new wife only weeks after having given birth to his twin children. She began to focus on making alliances and trade agreements for Egypt. She became wealthier. She used the money to build ships and make her army bigger to prepare for war. When Antony's army was failing, she gave some of her army's supplies to him in 37 BC. Antony sailed to meet with Cleopatra in Alexandria, married her, and publicly declared her children as his. But by leaving his wife in Rome, he lost his alliance with Octavius. Antony gave pieces of his empire to both Cleopatra and her 3 children by him. Some of this property was not even ruled by the Romans at that time. This was Antony's way of declaring that he would soon be taking over the entire empire, as well as these other pieces of land. This caused Octavius to feel threatened. Octavius declared war on Cleopatra and Antony. When it was clear to Antony that he was losing the war, Antony tried to work out an agreement with Octavius. Cleopatra locked herself in her treasure room into a temple she had built in her burial tomb to hide from Octavius's men. Rumors spread that Cleopatra was dead. When Mark Antony thought that Cleopatra was dead, he committed suicide by throwing himself on his sword. Once Antony was dead, Cleopatra knew that the Romans would take over Egypt and either have her killed or made into a slave. In order to save herself from the Romans, Cleopatra then killed herself by purposely getting bitten by a cobra, a royal symbol, in the year of 30 BC. She died at the age of 39 in her tomb with all her treasures. She had ruled Egypt for 22 years and was considered their greatest queen. It also meant the end of Greek influence in Egypt.
Riding in the drop top with the top down, so you're switching lanes, girl. Pull up to the red light, looking right, come and let me get your name, girl. Tell me where you're from, what you do, what you like, let me pick your brain, girl. And tell me how they got that pretty little face on that pretty little frame, girl. Well, let me show